Hey dude, you ready for this? Because what's coming next hits harder than your past ever did. 8 words in, and boom, your future starts shaking like it knows you're finally serious. This is the moment, right here, where the story flips, and you flip with it. Everyone's gonna be jealous. They won't say it out loud, but trust me, they'll feel it, deep, sharp, unavoidable. You know what's wild? People think your next chapter depends on them. Haha, no. It depends on the version of you that's waking up right now. That version that's tired of being ignored, tired of being underrated, tired of being treated like a maybe. And this video? Oh, this video is the spark. The one that lights the fuse, the one that snaps something inside you and whispers, watch what happens next. Hold up. Pause, take a breath, because what you're about to hear is not regular motivation. It's not gentle. It's not cute. It's raw. It's sharp. It's truth carved with force. And if you're here right now, it's because you're built for this kind of energy. You clicked on this for a reason, and deep down, you know exactly what that reason is. Your next relationship won't be based on luck. Nope. It'll be based on who you're becoming. This new version of you that moves different, thinks different, walks different, demands different. And that difference, it's gonna shake people, scare people, make some people wish they treated you better. And you're gonna watch it all unfold like a slow-motion plot twist they never saw coming. But hey, listen, before we go all the way in, shout out to you, yes you, the one watching this all the way from the start, the fighter, the thinker, the one who refuses to repeat old chapters. You showing up here, that's respect, that's discipline, that's hunger. And I'm telling you right now, if you stay till the end, something inside you will shift forever. They counted you out, but they forgot who you become when you're ignored. Funny, isn't it? How silence turns into a workshop, and you turn into a craftsman of your own edge. People think you fade when they walk away. But you don't fade, you ferment, you thicken, you sharpen. Every moment they overlooked you became a brick in the fortress they'll pretend they never saw coming. And when you rise, they'll swear you appeared from thin air, because the version of you they abandoned was the last version that needed them. The next one? He walks alone, but never empty. Never again. Let me tell you something. People confuse being quiet with being weak. They think stillness is surrender. They never realize that the most dangerous shift is the one that happens when you stop explaining yourself and start listening to the voice that whispers enough. You don't scream. You don't complain. You don't beg. You just change shape. Mentally, slowly, deliberately. And when you finally step back into the world, you don't ask for space. You take it. You take it with calmness, so sharp it terrifies the same faces that once ignored you. You ever notice how they only remember your name when you're useful? How they claim they always believed in you once they see you standing taller than the limits they tried to hand you? That's the comedy. That's the joke. People want to claim the finished version, but never the blueprint. They want the outcome, not the process. But you lived the process alone. You swallowed the nights. You carried the pain. You stitched yourself back together without applause. And now they'll swear you changed overnight. Overnight? No. You changed because the world pushed you into a corner and expected you to break. I know what you're thinking. Why me? Why the disrespect? Why the silence? Why the betrayal? And here's the truth most won't admit. You were underestimated on purpose. They wanted you small, predictable, contained. They wanted you to stay quiet so they could stay comfortable. But now you're learning the secret. That pressure doesn't crush every person. Some people bloom under it. Some people become something colder, something quieter, something far more focused than anyone expected. And now the story shifts. Now the silence they forced on you becomes your weapon. The distance they created becomes your clarity. The rejection they gave becomes your rebuild. Every moment of being overlooked becomes proof that you never needed their approval to begin with. And when you walk back into the world with that look in your eyes, that calm, calculated fire, they'll feel it before they understand it. They'll sense the shift before they see the change. Because you're not done. You're not defeated. You're not broken. No, you're becoming something they cannot predict, cannot control, cannot minimize. They counted you out, but all they really did was clear the path. And now as you take your first step forward, everything starts to tremble. Everything starts to shift. Everything starts to wake up. And they're about to regret ever thinking you were finished. Pain is a quiet instructor. The kind that speaks in pressure instead of words, in nights instead of lessons. Most people run from it. You didn't. You sat with it, staring straight into the discomfort until it blinked first. That's what separates you from the ones who collapse at the first sign of struggle. You don't fold, you forge. Every sting carved a new edge. Every setback built new depth. And while they thought you were sinking, you were anchoring into a version of yourself they are absolutely not ready to meet. Funny thing, pain doesn't make you fragile. It makes you precise. It sharpens the thoughts people once told you to soften. It turns doubts into signals, weaknesses into warnings, and fear into a blade you learn to control. The world keeps waiting for you to break, not realizing you broke already. Broke into pieces you rebuilt stronger than before. You don't rise from pain the same. You rise with eyes that see everything, and that terrifies people more than anything you could ever say. You ever notice how suffering teaches you things comfort never could? When you've been through enough, you stop begging for easier days. You start asking for sharper focus, sharper judgment, sharper direction. Pain cleans the mind the way storms clean the sky. And once that clarity hits, you don't go back to who you were. You can't. The old version would never survive where you're going next. That version needed approval. This version needs nothing except momentum. But here's the twist. While they thought you were drowning, you were actually studying reactions, studying people, studying yourself. You learned who checks on you and who checks on your progress. You learned who shows up and who only arrives when it's convenient. That knowledge, priceless. That knowledge becomes armor thin, invisible, and bulletproof. And once you wear it, no one sees it, but everyone feels it. Pain didn't destroy you. It refined you. It carved away the pieces that were too soft, too trusting, too easily swayed. It forced you to sit with the truth you avoided. Strength isn't loud. Strength isn't shown. Strength is earned in moments no one sees. And now that you've earned it, you walk with a new kind of presence. Not aggressive, not bitter, just aware. Aware in a way that changes everything around you. And now comes the shift, the part they never expect. The part where you stop surviving pain and start using it. Pain becomes pressure. Pressure becomes direction. Direction becomes identity. You're not the wounded one anymore. You're the sharpened one. The one who rose from the edges everyone else tries to avoid. And the world is about to learn what happens when someone like you stops hurting and starts building. There's a strange silence that falls the moment you stop running after things that were never meant to stay. A silence that isn't empty. It's powerful. It's the sound of your mind returning to itself. When you stop chasing, something shifts. Your shoulders drop. Your breath steadies. Your focus sharpens. And suddenly, you're no longer the one reaching. You're the one being observed, watched, measured. People feel it before they understand it. Your absence hits harder than your presence ever did. Chasing makes you predictable. And predictable is boring. But when you pull back, when you turn your attention inward instead of outward, you become unpredictable again. That's when you become interesting. That's when you become studied. The same ones who ignored you start wondering where you went. The ones who doubted you start questioning their judgment. Attention follows silence more than noise, because silence leaves room for imagination, and imagination is always louder. You know what happens when you stop begging for clarity. You start receiving it. You stop asking for effort and start noticing who offers it on their own. You stop trying to fit pieces together and start seeing which ones were never part of your puzzle. The moment you stop chasing anything, validation, approval, connection, you switch positions in the story. You become the center instead of the seeker, the gravity instead of the follower. And that shift, that shift changes everything. But here's the part they never tell you. Pulling back doesn't make you cold. It makes you selective. You stop giving access to people who treat your presence like a pastime. You stop explaining your worth to people who only listen when they need something. You stop lowering your standards to make others comfortable. And once you stop doing all that, something incredible happens. Your life becomes lighter, cleaner, clearer, and people notice. They always notice. Watch the reactions, the confusion first, then the curiosity, then the sudden attempts to reconnect, to reevaluate, to re-enter. People realize too late that the one who stops chasing becomes the one worth chasing. And you stay calm, you stay steady, because now you know the truth. Distance reveals everything. Who values you? Who respects you? Who fears losing you? Who didn't deserve you in the first place? That clarity alone is worth more than any attention you ever chased. And now, something new begins. A different energy, a different presence. You stand still, but nothing about you feels still. You're not chasing, you're choosing. You're not seeking, you're sensing. And that alone changes the path of everything ahead of you. Because the next bond you form won't come from desperation. It'll come from strength, your strength. And strength always attracts clarity before it attracts connection. There's a certain kind of transformation that doesn't make noise. No announcements, no warnings, no explanations. Just a quiet shift. Subtle at first, then undeniable. While everyone else was busy guessing your limits, you were somewhere they never bothered to look. Alone, focused, building the pieces they thought you'd never find. That's the beauty of privacy. It blinds the audience. They only see the final version, never the work that created it. And when you step back into their sight, their confusion becomes your confirmation. You know what happens when you disappear for a while? People create stories. They assume you fell off. They assume you quit. They assume you stayed exactly where they left you. That's the comedy. Because while they're busy assuming, you're busy advancing. Privately, silently, carefully. And every moment you spent behind the scenes becomes a step toward a version of yourself. They will never claim they underestimated, even though they did. They all did. Privacy becomes power when you stop giving people updates, when you stop proving anything, when you stop asking for recognition you never needed. You start operating in a space where progress becomes your secret, not your performance, where your mind becomes sharper because no one is distracting you, where your goals become cleaner because no one is questioning them. And that silence becomes the soil for the transformation they never predicted. Then comes the best part. The shift in their eyes, the subtle panic, the whispered questions. When did he change? How did he get like this? Why didn't I notice? Because they weren't supposed to. Your growth wasn't designed for their comfort. It was designed for your return. And now that you're stepping back into the world with a new frame, a new presence, a new power, they can feel something different in you. Something controlled, something sharp, something earned. And now, you walk differently. You speak differently. You think differently. Not loudly, not aggressively, just confidently, quietly, as if you know something they don't, because you do. You know exactly how much strength it takes to rebuild yourself when no one is watching, and you know exactly how unprepared they are for the version of you that walks out of the dark, ready for everything they swore you'd never reach. There's a moment in every rebuild where you realize something critical. You were never meant to be carried. You were meant to stand. And once you stand, really stand, everything changes. You stop searching for someone to fill the gaps because you finally understand those gaps were there to sharpen you, not weaken you. The world taught you to look outward for strength, but strength was always an inside job. And now that you've built it, your next bond won't arrive to rescue you. It'll arrive because you no longer need rescuing. People used to misread you. They saw your loyalty as weakness, your consistency as dependence, your patience as softness. They never realized those were skills forged through endurance. But now you're different. Your energy isn't loud, it's stable, not seeking, just observing. And stability, real stability, draws a different kind of person. Someone who recognizes effort instead of exploiting it. Someone who sees value instead of doubting it. Someone who stands where others only leaned. You see, when you grow, your standards grow with you. And that's where the shift happens. You no longer accept half effort. You no longer tolerate confusion disguised as interest. You no longer settle for people who treat consistency like a burden. You move differently now, calm, measured, selective. And that selectiveness filters the world. It strips away the ones who are only drawn to your old weaknesses, leaving only the ones strong enough to stand beside your new strength. People always talk about finding the right person, but they forget the real rule: you attract what you are, not what you hope for. When you were uncertain, you met uncertainty. When you were insecure, you met instability. But now you're steady. Now you're focused. Now you're aware of your worth in a way that cannot be shaken by anyone's temporary attention. And that shift, that awareness, becomes a signal only the right kind of person can pick up. Your next connection isn't about winning approval. It's not about proving anything. It's not a test, a chase, or a distraction. It's alignment. It's recognition. Two paths crossing because they were both built with effort, not excuses. And when it comes, it won't feel like pressure. It won't feel like guessing. It won't feel like losing yourself to be seen. It'll feel like standing firm while someone stands firm beside you. No noise, no chaos, just presence. And here's the truth. Most people never learn. When you finally become the strongest version of yourself, you stop looking for a hand to pull you up. You start looking for someone who's already standing, not above you, not beneath you, beside you, matching your pace, matching your focus, matching your clarity. Because your next connection isn't there to complete you, it's there to meet you. And that difference changes everything. There's a shift that happens the moment you stop lowering yourself just to keep the peace. A shift so sharp it cuts through every fake smile, every quiet doubt, every person who thought you'd stay exactly where they left you. People don't fear your progress. They fear your awareness. Awareness of who you are. Awareness of what you bring. Awareness of how much you tolerated just to avoid confrontation. Once that awareness settles into your spine, everything around you reacts. And the reactions, they tell you everything. Watch closely. The ones who benefited from your confusion start getting nervous. The ones who relied on your silence start losing their balance. The ones who felt taller when you felt smaller suddenly don't know where to stand. Because a person who understands their worth stops accepting crumbs, stops bending, stops shrinking. And that terrifies the people who were comfortable with the dimmed version of you. They never expected you to wake up to your own value. You ever notice how the moment you grow, people start whispering that you changed? They never say you improved. They never say you evolved. They say changed because it's easier to pretend something went wrong than admit you finally got it right. They want you predictable, familiar, manageable. But you're not built for their comfort anymore. You're built for clarity, and clarity doesn't ask for permission. It arrives with or without their approval. And here's the irony. People always claim they want you to succeed until your success demands they grow too. That's when the discomfort starts. That's when the excuses show. You become a mirror, reflecting everything they avoided in themselves. Your progress exposes their stagnation. Your discipline highlights their excuses. Your self-respect reveals where they had none. And instead of admitting that, they label you distant, cold, different. But different is exactly what you were meant to be. Jealousy isn't loud, it's subtle. It's in the way their tone shifts when they hear something went right for you. It's in the way their questions feel like inspection instead of interest. It's in the way they suddenly try to remind you who you used to be, as if your past is a cage and not a lesson. But you're not walking backward anymore. You're not shrinking back into old versions just to keep familiar people comfortable. You're stepping into a space where your presence demands respect, not validation. And now, the beautiful part. The quiet shift inside you becomes the loudest shock outside you. Not because you shouted, not because you proved anything, but because you finally stopped doubting your own worth. And once a person figures that out, There's no fear left to control them, no insecurity left to exploit, no weakness left to press. You rise differently. You speak differently. You choose differently. And that difference is what makes people nervous, because they can't handle a version of you that finally knows exactly who he is. Heh, look at you now. If you made it all the way to the end, then you're not just watching, you're evolving, darling. Because when that next relationship arrives, when it flips the script so hard the whole world chokes on their jealousy, you'll remember this moment, this feeling, this fire burning in your chest. So go on. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them all, every spark, every story, every heartbreak reborn into strength. And to you, yes you, the one who stayed till the very last second. You're not a viewer. You're part of the circle. The ones who rise when others crumble. The ones who glow when others gossip. Until next time, keep your smile sharp, your energy loud, and your heart untouchable. Because remember, your next relationship, oh, it's gonna make the whole world jealous. See you in the next one.